So it's recording now.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you, Angie, for
Thank you.
moderating today's Zoom meeting. And I'd like to thank Tad McGuire, my colleague, for helping me to host this event. Um, so, yeah, it seems like this Zoom meeting, probably this is my first time creating a Zoom meeting. And it seems like maybe I did something wrong because I'm getting emails right now that someone is registering again. So it's probably, but anyway, we are recording this. I'm going to let everyone know who registered for this event to watch the recorded session. Our non-book materials workshop series will conclude with one final session on cataloging electronic resources, tentatively scheduled for January. I apologize for the delay in providing this workshop because Kansi recently experienced a major website migration and is now fully integrated into MELA's website. We will only discuss objects specifications in this workshop today, and not all the MARC fields common with other formats, the same way that we did for DVDs and for streaming videos. So I'm using a PDF file here to present. Yeah, these are pictures of some objects that we I cataloged for my library. As you see, some of them are we call them equipment, like this video camera, this scientific calculator, laptop, cable, charging cable, and some of them are objects that we catalog them. Like there are like these anatomical models that you see, the heart, the body, and the ear. So these are just like we have a special collection for anatomical models, and then the rest of them that you see, these are objects, realia, and objects that we have them like another collection for them, especially for our teaching the branch. TDRL. So as you see, like the few of them that you have here, like a telescope is here, slides are here, puzzles for kids, human X-ray for kids again from age 5 to 18, as you see it's on that. There is a educational toy bottom left. You see there are like science plus, question mark, exclamation mark, and that's how they build it. And conversation cubes, and these are density cubes at the right, and that's Golden Knights puck. That's for hockey. So it's hard to incorporate objects in the general collection or to describe them easily in the catalog. That's why there are guidelines for objects, separate guidelines. So RDA definition for objects is a three-dimensional artifact, a replica of an artifact, or a naturally occurring object. Description of three-dimensional form by RDA is a form or forms intended to be perceived visually in 3 dimensions, includes sculptures, models, naturally occurring objects, and specimens, holograms, etc. And the definition of AAC kits by AACR2, a single medium package of textual material, an item containing 2 or more categories of material, no one of which is identifiable as the predominant constituent of the item. OLAC hasn't published guidelines and best practices for kits yet. Kits are not necessarily made up of objects. So this is only for objects, not for kids. The last line that you see here is a URL to the OLAC best practices for cataloging objects. OLAC is online audiovisual catalogers group, and they did a wonderful job creating best practices. That's like very difficult to retrieve the rules for objects that we discuss here, but they just put them all together in one guide, in one best practices manual. So the fixed field that we have, we use for objects are very important. There are many codes that we need to consider. Usually for other types of materials, we repeat the same code, and like for books, for DVDs, for other materials, but for kits, for objects and kits, we have many different codes, and we need to consider them, and we need to recognize what object we have in our hand and what code we need to use. This way that like our automated system would recognize that too, and it will be cataloged correctly. So the type of record R, that's for RDA, refers to objects as three-dimensional forms. This includes, but is not limited to, realia, toy, model, art original, game, microscope slide, diorama, and tactile three-dimensional form. Type O is used for kits. So as even though we don't discuss kits, but there is a code for kits that is separate from the code for objects, and this R is probably, it came probably from realia, and it stays for objects. Bibliographic level, or BLVL, is M for monograph. Descriptive cataloging form, or DESC, is I for ISBD used for RDA records. For language, or LANG, if no linguistic content is present, we use ZXX. It happens a lot because objects, sometimes that's not no language materials involved with them. For time, we use NNN because the running time is not applicable for objects, and technique, or TECH, is not applicable, so we use the letter N. Type of visual material, or TMAT. So this is the most important part after the type. So it can be A for art original, C for art reproduction, D for diorama, G for game, P for microscope slide, Q for model, R for realia, and W for toy, and Z for other. And what is realia? Yes, we are on that one. Okay, realia is a three-dimensional object from real life. Realia may include tools, machines, jewelry, coins, textiles, artifacts, pottery fabrics, rocks, holograms, furniture, utensils, puppets, musical instruments, specimens, and so on. Unlike books, the artifactual value of these materials is important. The preferred source of information, RDA 2.2, this is a very important part. We need to, for objects, it's not like books that it's more flexible for they have more flexibility to find preferred source of information, because not always objects especially don't follow the same pattern as other materials like books or DVDs. So container and accompanying material can be source of information. Any number of locations accompanying guides could be source of information, any other available source like the publisher's or producer's website. And 588 title source note is important to add for this purpose. It's found on RDA 2.7.2.3. And that explains where the source of information is coming from. And we will see examples for the 588 field later. MARC264, production, publication, distribution, manufacture, and copyright notice, or RDA 2.7 to RDA 2.11. Instead of traditional publication, objects may have distribution, manufacturing, or copyright statements. So the concept of publication may not apply to most objects. And according to RDA 2.7.1.1, production refers to the inscription, fabrication, construction, etc. of a manifestation in an unpublished form. According to RDA 2.10.1.1, manufacture refers to the printing, duplicating, casting, etc. of a manifestation in a published form. We consider fabricated objects as subset of the casting. OLAG best practices recommends, if it is unclear if a statement on a resource is a publication or distribution or manufacturer statement, assume it is a publication statement. Or field 264 second indicator 1. The example that I used at the end, I used that form 264.1, so it is correct. That means it is correct if we have a MARC field 264 with second indicator 1, even though it is for publication, but it is correct to use it for objects, which could have been production actually, but it's okay to use 1 for publication. So here are the examples that you see. With the second indicator 0 is for production, like Cupertino, California, Apple Incorporated, and date of production not identified. The second indicator 2 that we see a lot is for the distributors. There are a lot of objects that you may find that they've been distributed by some other company, and that's when you use this. We had it for streaming videos too. Like for example, Swank is a distributor, and we use that vendor or that company as a distributor. So we use this here a lot too. So if this example is Burlington, North Carolina, distributed by Carolina Biological Supply Company, and 2015 is the date. It was for one of the anatomical models that we had. It was manufactured by 3B Scientific that I have on the third example here, like with the second indicator 3 for manufacturing a company, Hamburg, Germany, 3B Scientific, and it's distributed by Carolina Biological Supply Company. And 264 second indicator 4 for copyright date, as we use for other items. You may see copyright date on many objects, so it is used again frequently. So MARC 300, which is repeatable, RDA 3.4.1.3 and RDA 3.4.6 and RDA 3.5. This is a very important field for objects, and this is how we explain the physical characteristics of our object, of item in hand. Subfield A is for three-dimensional forms. Use a term from the list at RDA 3.4.1 0.3. So when you open that page, you see many words that they considered for this subfield. And for example, diagram, diorama, drawing, flashcard, game, jigsaw puzzle, model, sculpture, specimen, toy, etc. For example, you write one model and the rest of it, or one puzzle, one game, and the rest of it. Subfield B is for the physical characteristics of the item being cataloged, such as cardboard, glass, metal, paper, plastic, wood. It is connected to 340 that I explain later. And subfield C is you can record dimensions, and it's by height times width times depth in centimeters, rounded up to the next whole centimeter number, and use the cm symbol. And example is here, one toy, 150 pieces, and it's made by plastic, and there are colors, and it's in a box of 22 height, 17 width, and 4 centimeters depth, plus 1 guide. So this is similar. The order is similar, but the way that you use it is completely different. And this, like, it could this subfield A could be longer, a lot longer, because you may want to, inside this parenthesis, you may want to add more detail, like, for example, 100 pieces of what and 50 pieces of what, something else. So it could be longer than this. Then we have the RDA fields, 336, 337, 338. Which are repeatable again, and sometimes it's the ones that I wrote repeatable because it's important. Sometimes it's important to repeat, and we may need more than one. For content, media, carrier type, and this is like a specific for objects. For 336 or content, the content type for realia and other objects is usually three-dimensional form. Sometimes you see tactile three-dimensional form, and that's used for something intended to be perceived through touch. So we don't use tactile for everything. We see much more of three-dimensional form, but sometimes when you see tactile, it's for the items perceived through touch. And as you see, like the first line that we have here, the subfield B is TDF for three-dimensional form, but for tactile three-dimensional form, the subfield B is TCF. So C and D are different, to show the difference between these two. And 337 for media, the media type for realia and other objects is usually unmediated. And 338 carrier, the carrier type reflects the format of the storage medium. The carrier type for realia and other objects is usually object itself. So object is a replacement for the old AACR2 three-dimensional GMDs. So if you see old records, you see a GMD in 245 subfield H as with like one of these words, like art original, art reproduction, diorama, game, microscope, slide, model, realia, and toy. And so it was completely erased, and now it's replaced with this 338 that you see here. So the URL links here, that's to the codes. So I put the URL itself, if it's not clickable, the PDF file sometimes. It depends on where you, how it's saved. So I put that in case that it's not clickable. So 340, MARC340 or physical medium that we had, like that's kind of like in connection with 260 with 300 subfield B. MARC340 physical medium contains physical information for a resource. This field will support linked data in the future. So the use is more for the future than now. These are examples of subfields that we use more in the field 340 and URL links to the term list. So yeah, if you go to, there are many more subfields, but I just put these because we use them more. As you see, like 340 with subfield A, that's wood, and it comes from RDA material because the material is wood. And here you have like a link to RDA material made by RDA. And then subfield G is from RDA color content, polychrome, and that comes from this list. So you may use the different subfields the same way that you see here. MARC380 provides information about the class or genre of a work and helps distinguish it from other works with the same title. Control vocabularies such as LCGFT, LCSH, and AAT, which is Art and Architecture Thesaurus, are preferred. So we can use, these are the same that you would use in 650, the subject headings, but also you can have it with 382, and this 380 is the new RDA fields that they are using. Here we have like 380 board games from LCGFT, 380 anatomical models, LCGFT, microscope slides LCSH here. So those the first two ones, 655 field would be appropriate for them too. And hand puppets LCSH 650 for these, and dioramas AA2. That's another subject heading that we use in 380. Notes. The notes are another very important part for objects because these are where we can explain assumptions and decisions made by catalogers. So here we can, in whatever we have in other fields, we can justify them here and explain and how we made those other fields. So that's why you may need to use many notes for objects. Like for example, I have first line here, LER2725 from container, and then I will create a 028 field for the item number created by the manufacturer. Another one like INS 10299, this number is from distributor's website. So these numbers would help to find the item easier, and to make sure these numbers are very important because we make sure that we have the correct item when we see it somewhere or when we want to add it to a record to make we have an item here in our library and we want to find a good record for that. So these numbers would show us we are right to the record because there are many similarities in the names, titles of these items. And some of them, sometimes they have like very simple titles for the object items. And that's why these numbers would help a lot. Like, for example, you have like an item, it says birds, and you don't know exactly what item you're looking at in connection. So with the numbers, you would make sure that these are correct. And then the other one is for choking hazard, not recommended for children 3 and under. So I I typed it exactly the same way that it is on the container, and best practices also they put it like this, like all caps for choking hazard. Like we usually use lowercase, the first letter capital, and then the rest lowercase, but this case, best practices use the whole caps, and I liked it, and I did the same way. That's another very useful 500 note to add. Then another very useful 500 note is for what the item contains inside, and this is really useful and important. It usually the boxes, the items, they say what what is inside the box or what container holds, and we can just like have that as a 500 note. This would help users, catalog users, know what they get from that equipment and from inside that box. Also, the circulation desk would know what items are included and if they want to check it back, so they would know that. So in case like you have different models like of an equipment, like for example, you have a video camera or a laptop that you are cataloging a different model than the other one, you can use 250 for addition statement. So you can use 250 to add that model number in the 250. Also, you're bringing the same number here and in a 500 note. That where did you see that number? And you code it here. 520 is like they explain a summary of what this item would do and is about. Like for example, here students discover what happens when they use different length and blah blah blah. That's the whole thing about this item that we cataloged, and it explains what we are dealing with. 521 is used a lot too for especially the items that we have for kids that I showed you like a few of them on the second page. Those are the boxes of usually educational games, educational toys, and there are too many of them to be cataloged by libraries, probably more by public libraries. And so we can use this as to show for what age. Usually boxes, they say that. They say what age group can use it. So with first indicator 1 is for age and first indicator 2 for the grade. And sometimes if they write like age and grade at the beginning of this subfield A, that's okay, even though supposedly our ILS should recognize these codes 1 and 2 to write the age and grade for that, but it wouldn't make that much difference if we add that. So sometimes you see like with the subfield 1 and subfield 2, they wrote the word age and grade over there, and that's okay. But it could be subfield 8 or no subfield. I'm sorry, I'm saying indicator 8 and or no indicator. So you can use any of them. And 588, it is a very important note for objects because it is showing us the source of description. As I talked about it before. So this is like a core field that we need to use. The first indicator is 0. We use it for streaming videos too. That explained where the description came from. But here we use it differently. We use it for the source of description. That's why we use indicator 0 here, and it is required. So we know where the source of the title is. RDA allows the catalogger to create a title for the resource And the last 588 that you see here in bold is a note about the title created by the catalogger. So we add this title device by catalogger to show that this title was created by us, not we didn't see it anywhere. And it happens a lot. It's like you may like just create a title based on like you have a laptop, there is no title anywhere, and then you may call it like Apple laptop or something like that. So other no 588 notes that you may see is title from container, title from accompanying guide, title from accompanying booklet, title from manufacturer's website, title from distributor's website, and finally title device by cataloger. So if you usually you should find the title from the ones above: distributor's website, manufacturer's website, accompanying guide, container itself. When you don't find them, you would create the title and call it title device by cataloger. Another important part of objects is to explain it, to use LCSH and LCGFT, MARC6XX. OLEX Object Manual Task Force developed some possibilities for subject analysis of an object, but provisions are limited. Although the genre form should indicate that what item is, we may assign free-floating subdivisions to solve the problem of limited existing genres for objects. The most significant free-floating subdivision to use for objects is subfield V specimens. Others could be subfield X audiovisual aids, subfield X models, or subfield X study and teaching. So yeah, there are not, objects is not something that it was predicted when they created AACR2 and other guides, and objects are something new to catalog. There are very, very few genres, LCGFT genres for objects, and I brought a few of them here: manipulatives, education, educational games, puzzles and games, board games. But there are not that many. I would say there are not more than 10. So best practices, they came up with a solution by adding free floating subdivisions to the subject heading. So that doesn't make the record wrong now. Like you have a subject heading, even though it is like a Lego toy, when you add the specimens to that, and it's just like it explains what it is instead of what it is about. That's how we use it for objects and how best practices recommended. So a few of them that I added here for LCSH is Lego toys, the specimens, educational toys, the specimens, clothing and dress, the specimens, heart model specimens. That I showed that heart model on the second page, and anatomy, study and teaching, elementary. And 856 is not used that much. We can add 856 field to offer remote access to related resources and to online resources that supplement the use of the object. Here is an example that goes to a PDF page of an object's activity guide. If we are creating a record in OCLC connection, we shouldn't add URLs that contain easy proxy on them or other local information. So that's just like for example, this URL that you see is appropriate to add. But if we want to add our easy proxy, we can add our easy proxy at the beginning just for our local catalog. We shouldn't add it to connection because other libraries cannot. It wouldn't be useful for them. They cannot get into that page. So this is a real activity guide. The picture was on the second page, density cube set, and this URL takes you to the page for activity guide and explains the density cubes, what they are, and that's very useful. So because like you don't have enough room to explain, like I catalog these density cubes to explain about the all details about that. So it's really useful to add this as an 856 link, and they can click and find out more about that object. And finally, I have a record here, a complete record. As you see, it is a visual materials that we use a visual materials in connection. This is coming from connection, OCLC connection. The type, as we talked about, is R. Then here, audience, you see that we use for those educational games, toys, etc. a lot. And I use J here. It could be B because we have study and teaching primary, that could be B, but since the age limit is 4 to 8 and primary it's supposed to be 6 to 8, I use J to have it for both groups. The language English, it's just a box, and like guide and everything was in English, so English is okay. If you don't find anything, then you can use ZXX. M for monograph for BLVL. Then you go to time, N. That's because there is no time involved, so not applicable. Country, it comes from the 264 Massachusetts MAU. DSC, I for RDA, and TMAT, that's one other very important code for us. W is for toys. So since this is an educational toy, we use W here. Tech and not applicable, and date is exactly like other items dates. So we have a T date because we have a copyright date and a production date. So we use this. So 02850 we used for indicators. So this is the number on the item or coming from the websites. It depends, or the accompanying guide. We explain it in our 500 note. And it's made by Lego Education. So this number, as I said before, it helps a lot to distinguish the item in hand is a correct item. Then 050, our call number, Library of Congress call number, it comes from the subjects that we have. 245, our title. Most of the times with items, you may not have other subfields. You may have only one subfield. So here, for example, we only have creative Lego brick set, and it's 264, the production place. So we have it as publication place. That's okay. Best practices let that happen. So Boston, Massachusetts, Lego Education in 2016, and the copyright date, it's coming from the item. So that's one toy, 1,000 pieces. It's like a recommended way to write the subfield A for objects, but you may see many different ways that they use. So this is the best way to describe it. And then physical characteristics, subfield B, plastic in color, and then the dimensions, subfield C in container, 28 by times 36 is height, width, and depth, centimeters, plus the accompanying materials, one guide, and 8 double-sided building cards. Then we have our 3XX RDA fields. that this is a three-dimensional form, TDF, RDA content, unmediated, and RDA media, object, and RDA carrier. And the 588, which is required, and here you see I say title from accompanying guide. So there was no title on container, but accompanying guide had this title. If not accompanying guide, I would have gone to the website and find a title for that. If nothing was available anywhere, then I would have created a title for this item. And second 500 note, 5xx note is 45020 from accompanying guide. This is the manufacturer's number for the item, and we have it in 028, first line that you saw. Then another 500 note is for what includes inside the box. So it includes 1,000 piece Lego brick set, 8 double-sided building cards for support and inspiration, and 1 guide. Then another one from another 500 note from the box that I saw is the Lego group is headquartered in Billund, Denmark. So that's a useful one because Lego is from Denmark. So even though it was built in Massachusetts, it's an interesting note to add. The choking hazard, I explained about it. Then a 520 that explain what this item is about is a summary about it. This set contains 1,000 bricks and allows the creation of all sorts of lifelike or imaginary figures, objects, and buildings. Next field 521 is for age 4 to 8. You see this usually on the container or website, the producer's website, and you get it from there. Then our subjects that are the important part of this. So as you see, like it is about architecture because it builds the stuff, and design and construction. Then subfield X games explains this is like games, and that's one of the subfields used by objects. And then another subfield used by objects is the next subfield X, study and teaching primary. The next one, Lego toys, we use the specimens, another subfield V that we use for objects to explain these about the objects, and also study and teaching primary. The next one, blocks, toys, again with specimens. Next one, toys, specimens. And then the last one is a genre, puzzles and games that we could find for this LCGFT. A lot of times we cannot find anything from genre. So, but with the subfields that we added to our subject headings, we created what we want to show. And then the last one, the corporate body, Lego education firm, which is coming from the 264 that we had, the subfield B. And that's good to use, like what we use for DVDs and streaming videos, because like if like a user in our online catalogs clicks on it, can see other products that they might be interested from the same company. Okay, we are at the end of the presentation, and I will be happy to answer any questions if you have. Hi, Angie, do you still hear me?
Hi, Cyrus.
Okay.
Yes, here. Thank you so much.
No problem.
There are no any questions in the chat, but of course, anyone is welcome to join and tell us what they need. I have a question here from Popak. He says multi-part works with example objects and printed media, a complete recording for all and for separate for each resource. So if we have like a multi-part work, the object and the printed material too, are we going to have a record for everything, or a separate records and then we link them together or something?
Yeah, this is a very good question because it happens to us a lot.
Yeah.
The branch library that we have, TDRL, or even here in our circulation, sometimes they want to even mix items together and create something like in because they, for example, they have like an iPad, they want to add like a mouse and extra keyboard and a cable, and they put them all in one container. So for that purpose, we do we edit our local catalog record, not the connection, and we create something for that because this is like something made by our library, not by the manufacturers. But usually manufacturers, whatever they do, they put it in a, if it's coming from the manufacturer, they put it in a container or in a box. Even if there are different parts, they put them all together and they explain on the box and the container that this, for example, anatomical model includes like 25 parts, pieces, and they put all of them together in one container, and they have like one label and they put it there. And even for our branch that they do this, like they mix up stuff, we ask them to create a title because probably they would have a title in mind that that would work better for their clients. They create something and they make it label with that title, and we put it on the container that we want to include more parts than one part that we purchased. Yeah, and also I can add one more thing. It's just like we found like problems with, like, for example, laptops that we catalog, and because they come like different models for by the same brand name from the same brand, or even different brands, and our circulation didn't, they wanted to be all together, like, because for each model I need to create a new catalog record. So we found out that the best is like they have a generic local record. So we do these kind of problems just locally. We deal with them locally. And they add like, I don't know, 100, 120 laptops that we need in our circulation desk to that, so they can keep a better track on what comes in and what goes out, because they want all laptops to be in one place. But if it's the matter of cataloging all of them, they should be like probably 20 different records, because there are 20 different models, even if they are from the same brand. But they create different, like a new model number, like they add a camera to that laptop, they add something else to that laptop, and that's not the same laptop, so it requires a new record because it has new features. It's like a DVD that we catalog, and a DVD comes without the special features, needs one record, and when a DVD comes with the special features, it requires a new record. So this is the same. I hope I answered the question.
Bopak, you can, is it clear for you? Yes, thanks. Thanks, Faiz. I guess it's the best, I guess it's the best practice to have only one record, even if it's an internal policy of the library. So it's best to have everything in one record.
Yes. It depends on how your library, and how the size of your library too. And it depends on like what items we are dealing with. The equipment is a little bit different than other objects like realia, like the ones, the educational toys and games. Those are just like So 1 or 2 is enough for the whole library. But like a laptop, for example, they just use it. The students, they use it like very often. So you need to have like 70 of them. And it really causes problems when you have different models. And it's better that they deal with it like locally than but the vast majority of items, they can be cataloged regularly using OCLC connection, and other libraries can use that record, because the purpose of creating these records is for other libraries to use them too. So yes, that would be that's one way to deal with it, and probably any library would decide for their own items.
Yeah. So any other questions? I think that you were very clear in your presentation that people don't have questions for the objects cataloging. Can we can wrap this up and what
Yes,
do you
also,
think?
sure, yes. And if you have any other questions, you can email me.
We have another question actually. The resources with bibliographic dates in Arabic language. Does cataloger have to translate the description words like color and so in English? I think we have to have like an Arabic record or what?
So it depends on the language of your record, catalog record. You have like in field 040, you have subfield B that's a code for your language. If it is English, so we use it in English. We use the English alphabet to describe everything. So we use English only here, but there are records made by other countries, German. I see German, French. I never seen like anything like me. I haven't seen
Arabic language. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't work with Arabic records so far. So
but I think that we will not we will create the record in Arabic language from the beginning, because all the description will be in Arabic. So maybe we didn't see an Arabic record for objects, but
yeah, now I get it. Like that's the way, like yeah, in Germany, have to translate in German, put in notice field in Arabic. Yeah, so that's like a German, like you have subfield PGR for German language, but also even for English and any record, you can link these to Arabic or Chinese or whatever language it is, and there is a feature for that, the link fields. Do you see my connection, Angie, right now? My connection. Yeah. You see my connection.
No, we only see the cataloging, the presentation.
Okay. Then let me see if I can share the other one. Share screen. Okay, this one. Okay, now you see my OCLC connection.
It's shared.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, there is a feature here. You can, for example, for this 245 play money, you can use the feature of up, if I can find it. No, this is not working. Yes, link fields. Okay, you see, like I linked these two fields together right now. Like one of them could be in Arabic, and the other one, it could be a translation of this in Arabic. And then when they are linked, that's just the way that it works. Also, if it translated to Arabic, no, it's not going to translate it. Yeah, that's the way they link it. And if it could be Chinese, it could be Arabic, it could be any language, and I see it for 245 for other fields for 700s. So probably that's the one that we're talking about.
So Popak, is it clear now?
Or maybe she's talking about something different. Yeah, but probably it's because like for also, for example, for authority records, we have like for 400 fields with like a different alphabet, like in Chinese or in Arabic, we add 400 fields for that. But here we can have that field and we can link him now. Maybe if I could find like one of the records that they had, I could have shown it to you. Let me just yeah, I think I have one of them. Like, let me just take a look. That it's already been linked, and that will be, yes, that's one of the DVDs we talked about last time. Yeah, this is linked. Okay, good. I can show this one. Share. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Like, this is a DVD. As a Persian DVD that won an Academy Award, and you see that 245. These are linked together again.
Yeah.
And the first one is in Persian, and then the second one is in Latin and English. And so that's the way that they did. Also for yeah, it's for actors, you see that they do the same, or for directors, and when we click on it, you would see they use 400s for the Persian transcription.
Yeah.
So they use this for Persian transcription and different ways of saying the name, and they link him in OCLC. Yeah, I see. That's the feature that they talked about.
Unlink, yeah.
Link and unlink. If I call unlink, no, it's not linked anymore. I click link. I didn't work with that before, but I just found it, and it's very interesting.
But it's useful, yes, it's very useful.
Very useful, yeah, for the transcripts that we use, because we use different alphabets and transcripts, and definitely for our records, we want to use them more and more. It helps a lot when like you see the original language and letters, that you see it on the item, for example, because on the item on the DVD you may see this part, not a separation. A separation is the other version of it. So that's how it will help.
And in the 041, what you add both languages?
Yes, in 041 is like the main language, subfield A is Persian. Also, you have it as subfield H Persian, because it shows that the whatever language we have, because this item is Persian and French and probably English. And the English here is subtitles, and French here is subtitles. But the language of the movie, the original language is subfield H, and subfield G is accompanying material, like a booklet is inside the DVD, is in English. So, and then you have 546 for that to explain it. That's, it says in Persian or Farsi or dubbed French dialogue with optional English or French subtitles. Yeah, that's
a good example, actually.
Yeah. I use this for the DVD presentation, if you remember that. Did you participate?
Yes. Yes, yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah. This is I kept it from that time. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and for every, like many other fields also, you have this linked, like even for 730, you have this link too. So you can link many, and they created the linking for this purpose. I believe it didn't exist like maybe 10 years ago or more. I don't know, but it's something that its connection was there forever. Good. Any other questions?
No, people are thanking, Nora is thanking you, and
Thanks everyone to
yeah,
participate.
yeah.
Good.
It was
Okay.
very interesting. Yes.
Good. Thank
So
you very
thank you,
much.
Cyrus, for
Thank
this
you
informative
everyone for
presentation. And we are looking forward for the first workshop, which will be cataloging websites, probably, like you said, in January.
electronic
And
resources. Yes.
yes,
Hopefully
yes.
in January. Hopefully.
And of course, we will be announcing it before time. And sorry for all the participants who couldn't join. And the session was already recorded, and it will be posted as soon as possible on our website.
Great. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Angie. I am going
Thank
to
you
stop
so much.
recording.
Yeah.